Okay, today I'm going to show you a little bit about finger picking. Show you your very first finger pick, which will be very basic. When you're first learning to strum a guitar, you tend to have to think through every move you're making. It's very mechanical and not very smooth, and it so happens that when you first learn to finger pick, it's the same thing. It's very mechanical at first. After a while, strumming becomes sort of automatic. It's just in your body and in your muscle memory, and the same will be with finger picking. So you'll have to put up with really having to think through every finger move at first until your fingers know what they're doing. So I have a sort of rule of thumb, pun intended, for finger picking, and that is that we use your thumb and your first three fingers. And when you watch YouTube videos, you watch other people showing you how they're finger picking, they'll often use maybe three and even just two, your thumb and first finger, or your thumb and your first two fingers. But I like to use three because, well, you've got all these fingers to use, you might as well make use of them. And it does feel a little strange to use your ring finger at first. It doesn't seem to be quite as strong as the first two, but it'll get a little stronger and come in real handy for some finger picks. So first of all, the technique itself is a little different from strumming, in that when you're plucking strings, now classical, they tend to use the pad of your finger like this, but the finger picking technique I'm going to show you is actually plucking from underneath. So you take your finger and you just kind of almost pull it a little bit. Each of your thumb and your fingers are each going to have a string, or be in charge of a string, but actually your thumb is in charge of the top three fat bassy strings, and each of these three fingers has their own string. So the first finger is the third string from the bottom, and the second finger is the second string from the bottom, and the third finger is on the bottom string, or first string. So you can just practice by plucking those three first, getting used to it that way. So anytime you play this string, it's this finger, etc. The thumb is going to move between the 6th, 5th, and 4th string, depending on the chord you're playing. So knowing how many strings to strum when you're playing a chord will come in really handy now. However, to begin with, all we're going to do is try to play the top string, the 6th string, and those three bottom strings like that. 2, 3. So try doing that. Make each note very even and consistent, fluid. Dun, dun, right? And once you get used to using your thumb on the 6th string, then try moving to the 5th string. So now you're plucking like this. That's it. Now you'll notice my hand actually stays pretty close to the strings. It doesn't pull away like this, because essentially you're going to lose your place. And you don't want to be, in the beginning you're going to be, but you don't want to be gawking at your hands all the time. That sort of just gets in your way of actually like reading music or tablature, or just not looking at your guitar. That's kind of the end. That's where we want to get eventually. So if your hand is just hovering over the strings, then the strings are going to be where you want them to be. Okay, so you can practice going between the 6th and the 4th, and then, or the 5th and then the 4th string. So for example, when you're playing a D, so we'll play a D here, you actually pluck with your thumb on the 4th string, like this. And when you play a G, your thumb is going to be on the 6th string, like that. And last example is a C, or, well, actually you could do an A too, but a C, your thumb is on the 5th string. So try switching chords and finger picking, just that simple finger pick first, going back and forth. So you get used to moving your thumb around each of these three strings. So that's a very basic primer on finger picking. Okay, that's a bit advanced.